I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today, we're reading from the book of Joshua, chapter 4. Let's focus on verses 8 and 9. The Israelites did just as Joshua commanded them. The 12 men took stones from the middle of the Jordan, one for each of the Israelite tribes, just as the Lord had told Joshua. They carried them to the camp, and they set them down there. Joshua also set up 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan, where the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant were standing. The stones are there to this day. Israel is a very rocky place. And there's a story that they tell children in Israel. They say that during creation, the Lord told two of his angels to fly around the world, scattering all of the rocks. And one was to fly west and the other was to fly eastward. But when they flew over Israel, they collided, spilling them all. It's a very rocky place. Whenever you see rocks in the Bible, the term communicates remembrance. Now, rocks were here long before us, and they'll be here long after we're gone. So they're witnesses to everything that happened. All the memorials in Israel are covered in small stones. And it sends a clear message. You are not forgotten. And it makes sense then that Joshua would command the Israelites to gather stones from the bottom of the Jordan and put them over on the other side, on the land. And he wanted future generations to see those rocks and to ask, why are these stacked here? And the rocks are evidence of a miracle. And every retelling of the miracle story, God's deliverance would be remembered every time they walk by those rocks. Joshua's stone memorial reminds me of when John the Baptist rebuked the skeptics who came out to see him while he was immersing people in the Jordan River. Matthew chapter 3, verse 9. And don't presume to say to yourselves, we have Abraham as our father, for I tell you that God is able to raise up children for Abraham from these stones. Could it be that John the Baptist was pointing to that very stack of rocks that Joshua had set up? He was certainly in the same area where Israel crossed over the Jordan. And the Bible doesn't say, and perhaps more intriguing than the stack of rocks on the bank of the Jordan was the stack of rocks that Joshua placed at the bottom of the Jordan. The prophet Jeremiah describes a highway in those last days on which the exiles of Israel, accompanied by people from all of the nations, will walk home to Jerusalem. The riverbeds will dry up. And could it be that on their march home, this group of Jew and Gentile believers will cross the Jordan's riverbed and see those very stones that Joshua arranged and remember him who miraculously fills his word? From time to time, when the Lord brings me through a difficult season, I'll select a special stone and I'll place it in a visible place as a memorial. I won't tell anybody else about it. But whenever I see it, I'm reminded of God's deliverance. Take a moment and remember God's grace in your life. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.